So today's session 8, we are going to talk about a Spring Boot application using S2 in-memory database. This comes with Spring Boot itself. You don't need to install certain software, just like mine. Then we will try to create some entities, some repositories. We'll try to load some data. We will retrieve data, we will fetch, and we will also store some data. We will handle errors. We'll understand how we can handle those error and exception, how we can rectify navigation to the right context. We'll also understand the factors, some production database as well. Let's begin.
Namaste. Welcome to
Wait.
Science.
The Spring Boot with S2 database. For S2 database, we need to add a simple dependency. We need to configure, means you need to have a credential. We provide some credentials to go to that database, and we'll start our coding part where we'll write some entities. Let's see. Go to your start.spring.io. Click the required fields like here. I'm taking Java 8, which is my current. We'll add some few dependency. First is DevTool, add Spring Web. We'll add H2 dependency, and we'll add Timeleaf, data, JPA. Okay, that's it. After adding the dependency, go and generate and export the generated zip file to your required directory. Go to your Eclipse and go to File. Open project from file system, find that file. If not, then go to directory, search for that database. It will automatically come here and do finish. Wait for a few minutes, it will automatically update your Maven. Right now, you need to connect with internet to download all your dependency. So if you open, you will see the right structure of this Maven project. Check the POM, at least the version and all the thing is proper. Okay, that seems okay. Just run clean build. This thing, it is successful. Go to this where you have main and run your application. This seems with this is running. So first, we need to configure our database. I'm going to stop this, terminate this server. Go to your application property, which is under the resource. Add these properties. First, I need to add some few configuration. Spring.data source. This is for where your database is located. As you can see, this is JDBC. The connection is JDBC. And S2 is the database name. Mem is the memory or SQL schema, or you can create your own schema. In S2 database, mem is the by default schema. And this is the database, test database. So these are already present. We are going to use this existing database. The next is driver class. For different database, you have different class. So this is the path where your driver class is present. Okay. It also tells that what is your class name would be. This is the driver, this is the class name, and this is the path as well. Username. So by default, the S2 database has username is SA, system admin, and the password is nil for now. You don't need to add any password. Next, we have database platform, which tells you which platform you're using. It can be MySQL, Oracle, have different dial-up, how it has to be connected. So these are dial-up servers. So we will use the same exact things and save it. One more thing is I need to enable a console, S2 console. So here, if we don't have any console, you can have a, you can see that console in your browser. To enable that, we need to add some property. To enable that, you need to enable the console of S2 and say true. To enable this, save it. Then we need to create some table. Go to your resource and create SQL statement. So I will just use XML file name as a file name and say tables SQL. I will write some SQL statement here. Write create table and say product have product ID. You can say ID and say int. Also adding auto increment to increment that ID automatically, and also saying this is a primary key. Product name can be a string. So here use a varchar. You can say what is your product name. 50. Say not null. So price int. This is also not top table if exists product. We also need to insert certain thing. Insert into product values. Let's say 1 for product. I'm saying smartphone. Keeping price of 10,000. Same you can try for different thing. Now, whatever we have been creating, we need to test this, run this application once again. So my application is running on this server. Go to your localhost. If you run this localhost, you will not see any page. For that, you need to go to H2 console. So you will see a dialog page. If you see this one, that means your H2 connection is correct. And also you will see all the credential, all the whatever you have put, that will also populate it. So just you can do a test to understand the database is there or not. Say password and to connect. So you will see a H2 in memory console. This is console here where you will see your memory. This is your memory. This is schema. And in that schema, you have two more schema, which is information schema and user. SA is the user, right? It doesn't have any password. We need to create our POJO or entities. So go to your package, say new, and say class. So this is product. You need a product class, finish. And in product, just simply add entities. You take this JavaX persistent entity. This is a persistence data. What it helps us is to create the table. So wherever this annotation present, or you want to create a table, then you can just place over the class. So that class, whatever the name is you have given, that will automatically be created or represent to a table. Also you can change the name of the table after writing like this table entity. Okay, you can say name equals to the product table like that. Then what will happen? The same name what we have wrote here, that will be created. If you know, we have three element: ID, price, name, private integer ID, private string name, private integer, or I would say double. I can also say float price. On the private, you need to create your getter setter. So right click and go to source, generate getter setter. Click on the item, whatever you have, generate this. Okay, so we have three elements, three attributes. First on ID, I will just say ID as another annotation. This will help me to create this as a primary key. So if you have any primary key, you can just say this is ID. So it will automatically treat that as a primary key. Okay. Other things you can say simply column. So what will happen here? On those which is column, this will represent a column. This only will be column as well as a primary key. You can also say not null, so that this will represent as a not null constraint. Now your product has been created. Let's change the name of this table. So we'll run this project. This is building. And also starting my application. So this is successful. Now let's start our application. You have to also verify what input you're taking. There will be multiple. Take the right, because this is entity. We have to work with JAX persistence. That is also it's actually coming from our data JPA. We'll tell the Spring that how this product has to be created. In order to do that, we have to create a controller, okay, or we need to create some API. So we'll create some API as well. Make this REST controller. Here under that are going to create some API. First API will say, which will give me product list of product. Creating a few methods, then when try to add, this is get, this is get all, right? This is all get products, and this is set a product, one product. Okay, we can see delete product as well, which will give me boolean value. I will just say void for now, and you're going to set something. So you have to, how you're going to call this. I'm going to call by say post method, post mapping. Okay, post mapping. How you're going to call this? By whenever I hit product, same method whatever I have should able to set my product. So let's say I want to set product. Let me create new product here. P dot. For that I need something. I need to set everything. ID say 1. P dot name p dot set price. I'm saying this should be a float, right? Say s in the end so that this becomes float point. And that's it. So we have just created the product, but we have not stored into our database. For that, we need to call the database. How we are going to call this? We are going to call with the help of JPA. So for that, we need to create a repository. Right click on this and create a simple interface. Say product repository. Product repository will extend CRUD repository. When you use, you will get certain thing. Here add product and say integer for the ID. What will happen here is whatever is there in the product repository, the save all method, everything you can access those method now. Okay, you don't need to create those separately. So you can create the default methods over here. If we require, we can create our own method or to retrieve some data. This is controller. For this time, we are going to do MVC pattern, model view pattern. So we have the control to create a service. Service will be created. We have to create a simple service, say class and say product service. I am going to auto-wire this so that I don't need to implement and use those override methods. Come back to this and here I need to call my service. So whatever we have written over here, we will put that there. So instead of writing here, I will just call our service. So for that, I need to, the service is going to be auto-wire so that this is dependent on this. The service is dependent on this controller service. With that, I will create a method called set product. Okay. I will simply say product, this has to be created. So I will create this method and also put my business logic. I should not be put here on any business logic. That's not an ideal position. Go to this and put everything here. Now, whatever you have put, that needs to be saved. Okay. Now again, take the help of product repository. Product, this time not service, this is product repository, and also say auto-wire so that this become dependent. This repository dependent on this. So with the help of repository, we'll save this new and add thing over here. So when you save, what will happen is it will call the repository, which is also, if you see, go to this, it's a part of CRUD repository. If you call the save method, we're going to call, it will also save all your information and it will persist. Okay. If this is a new, then it will be in the same ID. If it is not new, then it will create new and give you the new ID. So you will get the new ID always. As you can see, return, that it's returning the entity, right? So you will get the ID always. So you can also take the ID name. I guess so you will get the whole product itself. So you can say P. You'll get the whole. So whatever you give, that is save, and you will also get the result in the P. Now we have saved it, and now it will return back to the controller, and it will say product has been saved. So other information will add later. The save is done. One more thing, we need to get the product list as well. So same thing we'll do. We'll call this service and say product list, product get products. We'll create here and with the product repository return as well. Return what? Find all. So if you return this, you will get the whole product, but you will be get an exception. So that we have to change the iterable. So we will get a list here. So we need to change to list product in order to get the list. Still with the error because it will not cast. It can be any object. You need to cast to that exact list. Now this looks good. You have product and on the product list. This will return to your controller. This controller, and you will also get the product. We'll add some logger information. So I've added the logger. With the help of logger, I can see that this is successful. Let's look good now. What I have did is I have just added logger and I'm reading all my list over here so that I can see in the console. Same was here. I just made that this is saved. If anything happens, that this logger will not appear. So we can check this by starting this application. Okay, there are some auto-wire problem. Product service could not be found. We'll go to product service. we have not said that this is service. That's why it is not making himself registered. Same goes for repository. We have to add repository here. And now you start your application. Application is running. Go now check. To check this, you need to hit this product list. So I'm going to go back to local. You have any browser. If you hit simple 80, you will not get the result. You have to add / and hit this one. So why we have got this error, we will see that in the DLL statement, that whole statement will be appear here. And also we'll say the create statement. If product is been created, stay created, not to be dropped. When we are hitting get product, what happens? After changing to this auto DL to create, then I can see my list is empty because I have in the beginning product will always be empty. So that's why I don't have any list. Now if I return this side, this is set product, not products. If you this time we have not received any errors. Product also is saved. You can see in the console. Now if you go back and try to hit the get product, you must be able to see the list. So I see a memory allocation. So we need to change few bit in order to see the data. So what I will do is I will change this. I will use a list dot for each to make this as a string first. Stream API, then we'll see for each, then I will use the logger to get the product list. I will keep that here. This also works. So here with S, I will get my data. So if I just say toString, I should have that each list. Go to this product, this product. Use say toString here, and here return ID first, then the product name, adding some space over here, name, and then equals to the price. So this will be returned whenever I want to get a particular product. Now come back and hit set product, get product, and yeah, now you can see the list which we have added. That is, we can vary. This is the data is visible. So this is the example of how you can put that in your database. So this is the whole example of RESTful database, how you can retrieve and set a few data. Okay. So what we have done is how we can integrate our RESTful database with Spring Boot. And we saw how to load some data. That was a very basic example. We will see some extreme data loading where we can handle a lot of data, a huge list of data. Okay. So yeah, it will take some time to configure your database at the beginning. But if you have configured, then you can be work on seamlessly with your programming, where whatever you want, build some logic to the process where our code should reside. So we created a API control where all our APIs resides, right? We also created a entity how the product has to be connected with our database, the table, and the repository, how the database has to be saved with the help of JPA. This is JPA way, the Hibernate way as well, and also JDBC a template way as well. So this is the latest one. We should also follow this. There are some disadvantages using this JPA. We will also understand that in the following session. This service to service all your business logic. This is where you can put. So avoid putting in other classes under component. Use this as a service so that wherever you want to use this service, product service, you can auto wire. Like just like this way, you can auto wire in that controller. It can be another component where you can auto wire or you want to use the service. So this is reusable service. We can test the same URL in a tool called Postman. So Postman is a tool which helps you to test your APIs. So let's see how we can do that. Now, just search Postman API. It works better in Chrome. You can download the software or you can download the extension of the Postman. So I have downloaded already. You can get that extension Postman API. So I have open. So what I did is I have created new and set requested, and in that I created collection. So I'm saying that new collection, say tick yes. Under new collection, you can give request name or you can do it later as well. So I have new collection. In that we have get. This is what we are working. Write the localhost. This localhost dot comma 8080 hyphen. So you can use the product. So product, if you use this, you will be able to get your, so products, get products is the call. So if you hit this one, you should be able to get your data. Okay. So what happens in here, since we have not sent any data, so it will always send you logs value and it will not give you. So this is another way to test your API. So what we're going to do is we'll change few statements so that we can get our data in a JSON form. So I have already created. I'm going to delete this. I have this one here. I've set product, get product, update product. Okay. So when you add set product, 2-3 things we have to keep in mind. First, you check that what is your method, request method. So this should be the exact one what you are requesting. So I have get mapping here. So it has to be get mapping. Get, click get, and go to authorization tab. Say no authorization. There can be possibility that you are using some secure key or you are having authentication management added. So that you have to add some secure API token. Those things will be basic and other auth version. So for this, it is no auth authentication. Go to your header. In header, add this content type. You will be able to find this content type and add application JSON/JSON. Next, if you have some params, you can also send param under this. If you click param, you will be able to. Then you hit this send button. Then it will send you data. Okay. Now we have to modify this code in order to get the data. So instead of sending void, we will use response entity. Use this response entity if you want to send some message. Okay. So object we are using, this return has to be changed. We have not added any return statement. Say return, say new, and again response entity. Okay. So response entity can have multiple message. You can use, if you go to inside, you will have response status or a body or the status or message as well. Otherwise, you can control space. You can find what message you want to send. So I want to send product list, right? Whole data I want to send. So I will just send whatever I have got the list. I want to send this list and the HTTP status code. .ok means also fine. That means this means this is successful and you have got the list. You can find everything in under this one. 200 is the statement code is 200 okay, and acceptance is 202. Non-authoritative information you can use for something other purpose. You have other different purpose. You can see all in under this HTTP status. Okay, we'll see few of the example of different HTTP status going forward. So here also we will do the same way. We will change to entity and will return new response. What we are going to send here, we will not able to send anything here. So what we'll do, we will say product is saved and saying HTTP status code. Okay, this looks good. We'll save it and we'll test it. We'll again run this. My application is running. Go back to your Postman. Do set product. See, now I have received the data because of what we are sending. Okay, we are able to send this data and we have also successfully save our product. Same if you go back to your get product. If you do get product, you will get a JSON data. And you can also see this is a array string. So this is an array of objects. So you will get multiple if there are multiple. So this is very good platform where you can test your API. There can be many multiple errors you can rectify here as well with also from your backend. So now we know that which is successful. What if we have some unsuccessful, or there can be issue with the when we are getting some data. Okay. For that, what we are going to do is we will add some try catch block. Right click on this surround with try catch block, and first we are going to stop this server. If there are some errors, throw new, say response status. We need to send some few parameters. First would be the message, what is the status code. So there can be many status code. We will pick one of the example. Let's say not found. Okay, not found or internal server error. That can be happen when we have no internet. So we will say internet connection, bad internet connection, and we'll send some exception. So we can use the same exception, this exception. We'll send this exception to this here, and we will try to import this one. So do Control-Shift-Space to import this. You will be able to add from this web server.exception. Okay, so this is the class we are going to use, and also we are sending. So you can see if you go to this status, we have different methods. We have a simple estimate if you want to send. What is the reason you want to send? Okay, you can all those you can put. So this is when you get some exception, writing runtime exception instead of exception here. So this is one of the example, and let's see for few other CRUD operation. We'll update some data. Okay, we will use another API which will update my data, my product. For that, we'll say public update product, and under that you want to update something. So we'll use put to update certain product, and this put mapping will have slash product and the ID. So ID will put into a curly braces. This is why, because if you hit this up to this one, and if you want to send any particular ID, let's say what we are going to do is we are going to update product number 1. Okay, in that case we will say product -1 or /2 or /3. So any product coming into that will get updated. Okay, for that also, this whatever we are sending in the curly braces we can use as a param. So that's why we have added as a curly brace. If you don't want, then what will happen is if you just don't play, then you have to use this entire thing to call this. So we are using param way. So for that we use path param. So path param will have this as an integer ID, and also, so this is for which ID you want to update and what are the data you want to update. So I want to add FD data, means whatever is there in the product. So where is my product? I should be having, okay, yeah, this product. You can see if you go to this, I want to update any of that value. It can be name, it can be price, even it can be ID as well. So I want to change everything. So for that I will use product as a product itself, every data, and we'll send the JSON data from here. So also this is going to be a response body. So we are creating a request body, and if somebody user sends or the client sends, that would be a response body. So response annotation we have to add response body. Okay, if you add response body, then what will happen? This variable, this parameter will become whole body as a object, and it will treat as a JSON body, and this will transfer your data from. It will collect the data from user. You can use the data and bind your data to your database. Now we need to call certain things. Also we will add this new part. When what happen if product is updated, we'll say product update, and also we have to send the response was the same. This looks good. We'll import everything. Okay, we have to provide which param you want to. It can be multiple, it can be another thing value as well. So you have to specify which ID you want to set for. Okay, response, not response, I believe it should be request body. Okay, So you are requesting what the user is requesting, and we are responding. This is for responding data. This parameter are requested data by the user. Now we have to add some logic, or we can just call the service layer. So we have the service product will update. We'll say just call the update product, please. And we have not created yet. We'll be creating. Before update product, we need to check it should not be null. So I will just say ID should not be. We'll check the null. And let's say if it is null, so we'll do the false first. If ID is null, we'll also throw a new exception. Okay, we'll say throw new not found exception. So for that, we will create a custom exception. We'll say product not found. Create this product not found exception. We will add interface called runtime. Interface should be extend by, so we cannot do. We have to create, then we can extend this. Yeah, automatically will get exception. Use this runtime because these are all runtime exception, not by the exception Java exception. So throw no new exception will throw if something happens. And what if everything goes fine? If it is not null, then it will call this update product. So we'll create this method as well. Now this looks good, and if this returns, you will get the right response body. First, we'll create the product. We create the product not found. Here, I will use product constructor. This is our product constructor. We'll call super class. We'll call the runtimes class, and we will also, if some message or errors is sending someone, so we will send this to super as well. Super means the runtime exception also have this. So main method, or this method will fire. It will send this and bind this data to your string value. Okay, so that's it. Come back to your service. Service, we have update method. We want to update something. So first we'll check. Dog already checked ID is correct, but we need to check that does that ID present or not. Okay, so we'll use this product. Okay, we have not send a certain variable. We need to send ID and the product as well. Both has to be sent. I will update this parameter. Now we have got ID and product. Now what we have to do is we have to check first the ID, if that ID is present or not. So for that, we'll use product repository and find by ID. Understand this method. This is a JP method. This is equivalent to select star from your let's say this is product table where ID equals to whatever you have the ID. Nothing but this is the statement. So this simple method will convert to this method, and this will retrieve the data. So you might be getting some ID. The ID I will put here, and we'll get the first data. Whatever I have get, I should have the first data. We'll create another product is same here. So we will say we'll check old product. Old with does my old product is there or not. I will just simply check this whole thing. If I have this product, then that means nothing to do. If it is going to null, this entire going to null, then I need to fire something. If this equals to null, then throw or return some data. So we need to return as well. For that, we need to do some more modification in the code. Let's say you get in return, this is null, and find by ID product not found. We are going to send this statement to this. This is for false value. Else, if everything goes fine, then product, whatever product I have, I will set the ID, and whatever you are sending, that the user is sending the name, price, that will get updated automatically to this particular ID, and then you save your product. So product or the products repository dot save. I'm going to use the same. So this save has the capability that you see that save method should be in repository itself. So this is where it will check it has the new entity, means in the ID should not be new, or if something is not, then what will it will just update. If ID is not present. So we have already checked the condition that if ID is not present, which is null, then product is not found. So we cannot update because if I just don't check this, what will happen? Internally, it will just create new breakout. So that is for setting product, not for this product. So in that way, we should be having condition only that time we will be saving this product. This return product is updated. The same message will put here and go back to your product. Now we have product. So whatever you have this, you can put over inside this one. So I will pass it on here and I will remove this condition. So what I did is I put everything under this one and then adding now okay. So see, both way status will be always okay because we have already handled those conditions. If it is ID is found, then also the status is okay, means the connection, everything is fine. And if it is not found and it has updated, then time also it is status is okay. So both way the logic is correct. We need to add some string errors. Okay. So what we have did, we have just sent a message that ID is empty. Same thing also you can call for when you're sending some product is not found. Get message, so that I will get a string message and send over return to this string. Okay. Everything looks good. Now save all every method now. So for that, what you can do also add response status. So this is another level where you are saying that this entire class is for not found status. Under say HTTP as status code equals to not found, not found. So you can see not found status is for not. This is the error we have received in our Postman. Let's check, does this running the application? It is running now. So first I need to set a product. Product is saved, right? I'm checking the get product. Just ignore this one first. Okay, my smartphone is updated. Okay, I have one data. Every time if you hit, it will always give only one list. So set product will also give only one because we are always setting the first data. Now we have update product. We have created put. So this is for put. If you remember in the code, we have put mapping. We also have this URL. I copy pasted instead of the curly braces, localhost 8080 products and hyphen. So if you use I1. So in that case, let's test this. See what message you got? Not found. No message available in the message and error is not found. What happened in this particular? You actually got, if you go to product, so you have got product not found message. This message has been fired for you. And you can see the status is 4, not 4. So also if you can see this in put message, we are having a body. So how to write a body? Click on the param. Okay. This is param and this is body. Under this is body means your response. You click on draw, or you can also go for form data. Both are correct. So in form data, you have to write JSON data. All the property, whatever you are requesting, you want to change. So let's say this is ID, name, same name has to be put over here. And so remember 2-3 things. You can, if it is a number, just plainly say the number. If it is string, put in double quotes. If it is a floating, or you can any number, you can also use like this without using double quote. If it is Boolean, say true and false. That. So this is for JSON. Okay. So this is the object we want to send. This is not an array. Array would be like this, but we are not using array. We are using object. That's why it is in curly braces. In one curly braces, there is one object we want to fire. So what we are going to change is we are changing washing machine for this particular ID, and the price would be 27 and some floating number. Now I will hit some wrong data. We are finding 2, and at this moment 2 is not present. So I have got different no value present, means that it has called this method and it has thrown the message. So we have to modify the code. Why? Because it has not found this return statement. Okay, this looks good. So what I did is I have modified some few bit. If there is no ID found, then it will catch into this and it will send product not found, and will send that in the our response body. So can say which ID, right? So that we will be able to address to the user. If I click, see now the product not found for this ID. What if I just don't give any value? So you will get not found error. So this is not found error. I give this is by the string itself. Let's say if I want to give something else other than integer. So we have bad request also. So these all are different kind of Spring exception. So we can handle those exception as well. How we can handle those similar exception? So this example what we have just learned is this is for specific level of exception. So let's say this will use exception handler and to handle this exception. So if you have a bad or any such kind, then you must have to create a control level exception. We will be creating a new class in exception control, and this is ControllerAdvice. And this ControllerAdvice response handler, we are extending this one. So I guess we're using here, we will use put over here exception handler on certain method. Okay, so why one method as a bad request? This bad request will handle there are some unrated URL. Let's send instead of this one, we'll send response entity with some object. This is going to be public. This is a method, and then we'll add our exception ex and HTTP request, or we can use a web request. Whatever is getting, we can handle. We are using a custom inbuilt web request. By this, we will be able to understand the request, and if something happens, we will just return to this response entity. We don't need to worry about what we are sending. We'll just send our exception. We'll say that REST URL is invalid, and we'll say new HTTP header dot. Now we will send our HTTP status dot bad, not gateway, bad request. So we'll save everything here. Now if I run the same example bad request one more time, see, I have not got any message over here. So it has captured and it has resolved. You can see in the example, failed to convert the value. So whatever the reason, I'm not sending to the user. We are handled these when we have this bad request. Now we'll try to update. So product is updated. Now if you check the product list, instead of the smartphone, we have washing machine. Now if you try to save, I guess save will happen, and this will also get updated, because this set method is overriding everything. Here was the example of whole exception handling, how you can, hope I made you clear.